Welcome to the BleedRedblacks podcast with your hosts Mike, Colin, Jeannine, and Santino. Produced by Mark and Johnny Z. BleedRedblacks starts now.
Hey, welcome to BleedRedblacks, the finale. Winning. It's going to be the theme this week. Hopefully everyone's down with that. Season ticket holder Mike, you down with winning?
Love it or hate it. The underdogs are on top. You know what I'm saying? I love it.
We're trying so hard to contain ourselves. Jeannine's eyebrows are going to break off. What's up, Jeannine?
I'm so excited. I love
know, right?
winning.
Woohoo! It's going to be a heavy winning show. Not much content. Just a whole bunch of blabber and about how winning is awesomer than the alternative.
Yeah, it's definitely a different feel than, last year, a year ago, right?
Yeah, like we're wearing out that winning song.
Licking our wounds last year, this time. So
Feels good. Feels good.
That was amazing. We actually watched the game down here just with the Monta buddies. The Montebello crew was here, minus Mish. Hey, Mish.
Mish, yeah.
And 4 of the 5 of us were here, and it was an amazing time. Mark, thanks for having us. The food was glorious, and the game was amazing. And we missed you, Jeannine, but we knew you were having a wicked time biting all your nails off.
A ripper.
In Toronto.
Yeah, I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. I was rocking back and forth. I swore a lot. I prayed. I haven't prayed in a long time, but I prayed a lot
Prayed to
on
what?
Sunday to whatever the hell would listen to me pray.
The powerful force inside of you.
Washing
Whatever,
down
to
Zoloft.
Buddha, to God, to Allah,
Basically, anyone who would listen,
to
basically.
the 7 gods from the Game of Thrones, like whatever. I was just praying.
Well, thanks. It worked, apparently.
I paced like crazy down here. I think
Did you keep track of your steps?
Yeah, I
your
don't
Fitbit
know.
lit
Yeah,
up, man.
it
Like-
must have. I must have. I was pacing behind this couch here, down here in the basement, just like a nutcase for the last 15 minutes of the
Yeah.
game.
And
I couldn't sit.
I didn't have any money on the game
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, what's up
so
with
I was living vicariously through you.
Yeah.
So I was sweating your sweat. Like
Yeah.
that's a good sweat.
It's gonna be a good Christmas for me, anyways.
There you go.
Get myself something nice.
You probably made more than some of the Redblacks guys did.
I probably did. I gotta be honest with you. 4.75 to 1 is a nice number to cash in. So
That's amazing. Well,
thanks, Redblacks.
I hate to let you down, Jeannine, or the fans that wanted to hear us get hammered, but we happened to take down that bottle of dill pickle vodka during the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
And,
Shucks.
we feel bad that we've been dragging the dill pickle vodka through the mud for the last year or so. Obviously, in shots, it's not the nicest.
Yeah, Monday I smelled
drink,
like
but-
a bag of dill pickle chips. Like it was weird. I sweated out that vodka.
But
the
those
next day.
Caesars were glorious. And
Absolutely.
throw a few spicy beans in there, and wow, it was.
Mark really
living the
put
high
together
life.
a good looking what would you call that? A Caesar station. one would
Caesar
call it.
station adjacent to a charcuterie board
With a
that
chili
would've
station,
made,
too.
It would have made Santino's parents jealous.
Yeah.
That's how good this thing was. So.
Any
Yeah.
cinnamon buns though?
No.
Cheese plates are good here.
Oka cheese was on point though. That's for sure.
What
Red Black cupcakes.
Red black cupcakes too. We got
No
a
worries,
nice-
and I ate one for you.
Oh, thanks for
So-
saving one for me.
You know what? I just got to interrupt everyone real quickly. Happy birthday, Jeannine.
Oh, you don't
You
have
made
to
it.
do that. I made
You made it.
I made it.
That's exciting.
Hey, look, if Henry Burris can do what Henry Burris did when he was 41, then 40 ain't nothing, right? Like,
And your pinky's still screwed on straight. Think what you can do.
that's right. My knee's still working, sort of.
I remember 40, and let me tell you, it's all downhill
It's
from
all.
here on
Stop
out.
it.
You
You're
know?
supposed to be giving me the
Mike's
positive.
been peeking since.
This is the
Yeah.
decade of
Literally,
life.
he's been
Peaking.
since. Yeah.
No, I've been peeing actually
Oh,
since. That's
peeing,
how it
sorry.
works. About 4 times a night, actually. Sometimes it takes. By the time I finish going the first time, I've already got to go a second time.
It's
But
like
that's
that's-
being a male with an enlarged prostate. So we'll get on to.
I mean, the steps down here, that's like the least interesting thing you're learning from your Fitbit, right?
yeah, that's right. Right.
May I just say that this is the most unique birthday wish that I have ever received. So thank you for that, Mike.
Awesome. No, I just you want to get you prepared.
Incontinence is just around the corner.
Oh, wow.
It's great.
You got nothing but love
Nothing
here.
but
Here's
love
Jeannine.
from
She's
the
like,
BRB crew. Yeah.
But Jeannine's absolutely gorge for 40. I don't even believe it. It's all a bunch of BS
you.
to me. It's just great though to to have you here on your birthday. And for me, and one anniversary that we have as well. It's 3 years ago today. We got our season tickets.
That's right.
Which is crazy.
Weird
that this whole thing started.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
That's a pretty cool,
I was thinking about that, and then I thought, it's your birthday. There's a Grey Cup. Like, it's just the stars align.
It's totally the perfect end to the cycle. It's Mike's last show.
Yep.
Which is sad, but that's cool, man. I mean, it's been a good rip. It's been a good run.
Yeah.
And who knows what we'll do moving forward. But right now, I mean, we're Grey Cup champs. We've grinded through that tough first season. Those shows, man, go back and listen to those.
Don't want to.
Wow, there's some downer shows there.
Yeah.
Like many weeks where it's like,
Well, 2-16, it's hard to.
but and then we got spoiled last year, or so we thought.
Yep.
And here we are now, talking about not only the best fan base in the league, but the number one team in Canadian Football League. And it seems weird to say it, right?
Absolutely.
So unfortunately, we missed the parade. Or Jeannine, you went to the parade.
I was at the parade. I had to leave a little early as the players were sort of coming out on stage because I had to get back to work for a meeting. But I saw AJ tweet out what the Ottawa police estimated the crowd to be 40,000 people estimated at that parade. And when you see the shots of how jam-packed Lansdowne was, all those people that, have said to me, I don't even want to count how many times Ottawa's not going to take in this city. To coin a phrase from our beloved hero Henry Burris, you can all go shove it, because that parade just proved how fantastic football is in this city.
Absolutely. And I had a feeling I had a window of opportunity to get downtown. I was like, I was between meetings, and I literally had like this window of opportunity to get down there. And I thought to myself, if I get down there and I can't get out and I miss the meeting, I'm sure my people would understand, but I got to be professional. I make a living, right? So
you can't Skype in from the parade.
I can't Skype in from
who's
the
that
parade.
on the phone? What is that in the background? Yeah, that's it's Mike. Yeah,
Mike chugging beers
TV
with
place, yeah.
Abdul Kane. But no, I had to think about that and think I couldn't just get down and get out, because it was a logistical nightmare apparently. But good on Ottawa for doing it, and of course the mayor who made sure he got a turnaround time and got it set up for the a few days afterwards, and good on him.
Which is great. I mean, all the boys' leases run out December 1st, so
they got to get out of town.
Yeah, they got to get out of town.
They had to pack their shit today and take the first bus out of here, right?
Yeah.
So
No, it was a great parade, and I think what stuck out for me was, and one of the girls that works for me was actually telling me how her school, her kids go to school in the Glebe, and her school actually bundled up the kids and took them all out to the parade route. And she's like, my daughter has no idea what a Redblack is, but today she was telling me she won't stop talking about this team and how she wants to go to a football game. So the generation of fans, there were so many kids in that crowd, the generation of fans that were created by this event, brilliant.
And what a sweet day to have like a snow day, right?
Yeah.
Like school buses weren't running, so I think there were probably lots of kids from, say, Kentville, Russell, Carleton Place. Shout out to the hamlets that keep this town strong.
Shout out to the Valley.
But great, like I'm sure a lot of them ventured in.
Yeah, it was
down
great.
31 or however they got here, and
It was great.
that was cool. And like it was neat panning the crowd and not recognizing any faces. Like I love that. Like we see. There's that core, obviously, and just seeing all these like kids and families, and it's awesome, man. And they did one hell of a job. I watched it on CTV. They're streaming it at work. I wasn't on the clock at the time, don't worry. And it was cool. It was really fun to watch, and everyone seems so genuinely excited, players wise. Like they were just. It meant as much to them as it did to any of the fans, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So we didn't get a chance to windmill any bagels, unfortunately. I
did see Damon Allen though at Grey Cup, and I
Sure
almost
he
told
was
him the
hammered.
story. I almost told him the story. He was at the Redblacks party, but I thought, no, I don't want to do that to Mike.
No. And that was part of, me going back, and I stayed off social media after the win for a day at least, just so I could absorb it on my own and remember those moments and going back and having that 14-year-old Mike memory of going down to Lansdowne and watching football, just absorbing all that was so much larger than me at the time when I was a kid, and wishing that team would win, but they'd win 6 games in 1990 or 7, I believe. And then, and still thinking about those years of being stuck at Lansdowne with the Gleiberman group, and how much of a waste of time that was. I felt as it ended, and wearing paper bags over our heads, and being people taking their pictures with us, and just getting from there to that moment of watching them win was like, that was a.
And that's pre-selfie, like that, like getting a picture with yourself with a bag in your head. Requires friends.
Like you had to crank the film.
Yeah.
And then you had to
push the button till the flash.
And then you had to hope.
Yeah. I've got.
Mike has brought his own mirror in there. That's how he did it.
I do have photos from that era. It's crazy. I won't show them because my hair was super long, but yeah, it was pretty bad. And one of those Black's photography cameras. But no, it meant a lot, and it was great talking to Santino about that as well, and talking to some of the guys that have been around for a long time about what it meant to them to be witnessing what happened here with a Grey Cup win, and it just solidified what a genius Jeff Hunt is. And at the end of the day, Jeff Hunt took a huge gamble, put everything he had into buying the Ottawa 67s. And here he is today owning the Ottawa Redblacks and putting together what I think was a wonderful business plan with who other than the Greenbergs here in Ottawa, and making something happen in a place where, it had been an eyesore. So
yeah.
And what's great is those young fans you're referencing, Jeannine, like they won't know those times, right? They won't know the tough times. And the guys that do, are the hardcores that'll always be there. So it's a really, really cool mix moving forward. And, hopefully those young kids, 20 years from now, they can talk about, remember Henry Burris. Like, we joked about it season 1 about Burris Pizza opening up here because he was going to bring us a Grey Cup. And I wish we had the time to go through some of those old shows, because I know that we had predicted Grey Cup 3rd season. I'm just saying. So not that we're going to go back through and find it, but it's there.
So take Colin's word for it, everybody.
It's there. Okay. We're going to go into a few things here. Producer Mark put together a little winning mashup. A little bit of Motorhead, a little bit of player quotes, obviously some Charlie Sheen mixed in, some Vince Lombardi, just a little awesome 3-minute bit. Mark showing off his producering. And we also have Santino's rant, which is actually pretty positive, and it's pretty interesting. So let's go into that. We're going to come back, do a little Grey Cup recap.
Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while, and you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. You gotta play with your heart, with every ounce of fiber in your body. I've never known a man worth his salt who deep down in his heart didn't appreciate the grind, the discipline, and to win! And to win! And to win!
I'm by winning.
Your team won't have the awards, but our thing was to come in here and just play physical football. We don't care what they've done all year. We don't care what they've done, 15-0, 16-0. It only matters about one game. And we just came here to show the world that it's one game at a time, baby, and we took this one, and we got the dub.
It was so open, I was trying to run before I caught the ball, and I just had to concentrate after I bobbled it, and I bobbled it all the way to the end zone, and it was the greatest feeling ever.
There's no room for second place. There's only one place, and that's first place. I finished second twice in my time, and I don't ever want to finish second again.
One of my teammates ever told me that we had the cake, we got the icing and the cherry on top, and we're gonna eat the cake now. But as we know, we're greedy and we all love dessert. So why not eat 2 cakes and win back-to-back in 2017 here at home?
They had an O-lineman in front of me, probably 100 pounds more than me. I just said, forget it, go get his ass. And I went and got him, pushed him back, seen the quarterback scrambling. I said, dive, it's all or nothing. If you don't dive, game over with, and then it's gonna be on you. Either it's on you or win the game for the team and give us another chance.
It was about 3 times I bobbled that thing, and it was just me concentrating on the ball, and I just knew I had to finish.
Man, hey, it's all about the shoelaces, baby. It's all about the shoelaces. Yeah!
You watch TSN and other stations, it was all about Calgary. It was like, dang, so why are we even here? You know what I mean? And so it was like, well, guys, hey, we've been in this position before. Let's go out here and be exactly who they thought we were. the team who nobody gave any respect, but all we did was win when it mattered most. And thankfully, we were able to follow it up and get that job done tonight.
I'm going to live my life the way I want. I'm going to win inside of every moment, and they can just find the most comfortable chair in their small house and sit back and enjoy the show.
Thinking we're not good enough, thinking this, Cali gonna come in here and stomp on us, but we came in here and stampeded on the Stampeders all day. We won't play around, like I said, D-Block, our nation, Ottawa, we love y'all. Y'all believed in us and only y'all did. And that's why we got that ring for y'all, baby. We do it for y'all.
To all the hard-working fans that have turned out here and the ones who couldn't take off work, from the guys up here who are so thankful to have you guys who always have had our back through thick and through thin, all we like to say is this drink is on us.
I love the city all the way, and my teammates and my coaches and the staff behind them.
Like I said, I won the Grey Cup in Calgary in 08 the last time, and I was a part of the 2nd and 25, the Miracle on Bank Street last year. You know, you never think that a moment like that could be trumped. Sorry, I had to say that word. But I don't mean to be braggadocious, but all we did was win when it mattered most.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody's hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Welcome to the Redblack Renegade Rant with Santino Filoso.
Dear Santino of April 9th, 2006, I know this is hard to believe, but I promise one day you'll get past this. That pain and anger that you're feeling right now, while it will take years to fade, it really won't last forever. At the moment, you're crushed. Your favorite team in sports has just been suspended by the league it plays in. Right now, you're only 17, and the thought of losing the first real team you've ever invested in is devastating. It's a team you've been supporting since you were 13 years old. The first jersey you purchased with your own hard-earned money from working at a burger joint called Licks was a Renegade one. Over 4 years in which the Gades went 23 and 49, you made it out to nearly every single home game. You went with your dad and you went alone with friends. Another first. You also started tailgating, even if you couldn't drink. When the Renegades leave town, you get so angry, you curse the CFL, and you swear to stop following it. And you do, in so much as you stop watching games other than the Grey Cup and maybe the odd playoff game. But you can't quite pull yourself away because you're still following the careers of former Renegades. Watching Saskatchewan win it all in 2007 with the roster littered with ex-Gates hurts, as if you needed another reason to hate the Green Whites. But as I said at the start, hang in there, because just a year later, the long process of bringing football back to the nation's capital for good begins. Jeff Hunt and some of his buddies are going to put in a ton of work, and once they do get a franchise and the court dates against Friends of Lansdowne end, before you know it, a new stadium will be up, and it'll be even better than before. The new team will be called the Redblacks, and trust me, the name grows on you. Just like the rest of the city, you embrace the new franchise wholeheartedly, and over the next 3 years, you meet a ton of incredible people and build lasting friendships. There'll be some lows, like an offensively starved 2-16 inaugural year and a painful Grey Cup loss in the team's second year. But on Sunday, November 27th, 2016, all that suffering will be erased when Ernest Jackson bobbles but secures an overtime touchdown. The elation you feel won't fade anytime soon. So hang in there, Santino of 2006, because while things suck at the moment, one day, with the right owners, a new CFL team with strong links to Ottawa's rich CFL history will do you proud. In fact, they'll be the toast of the city. That's all for this season, guys. Thanks so much for always tuning in, and remember to bleed red blacks.
Never again will you see rings on your table with the CFL-approved OLG Coaster Yellow Edition. It's easy. Go to your local OLG retailer, place a bet on a parlay with no research, watch your bet lose, and boom! Coaster! Bet on the Ticats to beat the Red Blacks? Coaster! Bet on the Argos to win the East? Coaster! Coaster come in a variety of price ranges from $2 to $100.
After Rake and Juice, you'll never be a long-term winner, but you will always win a coaster with OLG.
Well, we did it.
We did it.
104th Grey Cup champions.
Grey
Cup champions.
I thought we weren't saying that anymore.
We did it. I know. I'm just trying to give Mark some cricket ammo. This is the finale.
Yeah, we need some crickets
Those
there.
samples expire at the end of the calendar year. So, firstly, I just want to say, I mean, I wasn't there, Jeannine, you were there. You can obviously talk a little bit about this, but support from our nation in Toronto was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And from people that I know there who aren't from our nation, some Argos guys and some other people were just blown away by the amount of people that showed up and just the enthusiasm and altogether positive demeanor of the Redblacks fans. And so good on you guys. You made us all look great.
No, we
And
represented
thanks for
well.
representing us.
Yeah,
how
we did.
You know, and not getting too crazy. Well, I mean, I'm sure you got crazy, but not Grey Cup crazy. Let's be
Well,
honest.
I'm 40 now, so I'm pretty old and tame.
But you
but
were only
if
39 last
I
weekend.
was
Like,
only
what the hell
39
went
last
down?
weekend.
How was the
But,
brass rail? That's what I want to know.
Rusty as
Enough
always.
said. Enough said.
Rusty as always.
No, if I can, a couple things to add to that. First of all, the people that were there but that didn't have a team, whose team hadn't made it, they were squarely in the anybody but Calgary camp. So there was a lot of. There were a lot of fans of the CFL who were pulling for the Redblacks this weekend, and that was really cool. But and maybe it's Henry's inspiration behind his kind of we're the underdogs that makes me feel the need to say this. But I remember about 2 months ago, or before we knew at all who was going to be, maybe it was 3 months ago, before we knew at all who was going to represent the East, there was this big debate on Twitter about how it better be Hamilton that makes it into the East because they travel better than everybody else. And then of course there ended up being this big debate about how our nation wouldn't travel or would it travel. And I remember reading this. I didn't say anything during the debate at the time, but I remember thinking, okay, Toronto and Hamilton fans, you haven't seen how our nation supports this team and travels from place to place to place. And Toronto's only 400 kilometers down the 401, so it's not that hard to get there. So why can't we just all admit that we all like our teams and we're all going to do what we can to support them? Why did this have to be a debate?
We're a young culture, and we're still doing great for being a young Ottawa football culture, which is awesome.
For sure, but instead of appreciating that, there was all this criticism about how if Ottawa gets in the cup, they're not going to represent, they're not going to have fans there. Well, shove it, because we had fans there and we had a lot of them and they were loud
7 buses,
and they
right?
were proud. And that's right. OSEG is like organizing buses the day of to get them out there. It was fantastic. It was fantastic to see. And can we now please put to bed who is the better fan base in the East and not just say that we're all great fans and we all will do what we can to support our teams? Like, just let's put that
Let's
to
not
bed
worry
now.
about other fans. Let's just try and get new fans. I think it's like
all of us, all teams,
like
all teams, right?
You know, in the business world, you're always looking for foot traffic, and this is a team that's got really good foot traffic right now. They got a great walk-up gate. We're in a city right now where a team doesn't have that, and we're in a league where that's not happening as well. That like walk up and new customers aren't there. So instead of turning that into, you know what, their team sucks, their fan base sucks, it's more like go back into your community and do what we brought it up here. And I'm not to keep beating on it, but I gave a pair of tickets away this year, and my condition was you've never been before, right?
Yeah.
And I one guy, no, I'll go. You've been before. Mark, have you gone? No. Okay.
You get the tickets. Yeah.
And you're going to, and he's like, my father-in-law would love this. And I said, he's never been. And he went. And that's what you have to do is, even though he's still a fan, now he knows what it's like to be at that stadium and absorb it all. And that's what you got to do. You can't turn it into this negative BS behavior.
And I think I'm lucky to be around people like you guys. And I agree with you. And we've all done the same thing. And I mean, it just seems like what you should be doing. Like, there's no questioning anymore. You know, Jeannine, I know you've done the same, and it goes a long way, right? And it's nice to breed that culture of, like, I don't know, just not putting such a monetary value on it, and more of an experience, you know, like,
and just be happy for one another as fans of the city. Let's just all be happy for the success in growing fan bases, rather than this kind of rivalry that seems.
People outside of Calgary were upset that Ottawa won still, which is very bizarre as well. And I mean, as you got to detach a little bit, you know.
Well, I mean, it's okay
to enjoy a wonderful football game.
Yeah, it's okay to be emotional about a game where you've got some skin in the game, or you just really like the team that didn't win. That part's fine, but I was just really proud to kind of show people that yes, our nation is faithful, it's loyal, it travels well. Yeah. They're there, and they traveled well last year in Winnipeg too. So it was really great to see, and well done, our nation.
I was actually in Toronto for like 2 hours on the game day, just traveling, had enough time to pop into a gas station and do some pro line, and there were guys waiting behind me who were Redblacks fans, so I knew that all our nation were in this OLG game together, you know. So coasters abroad.
I was just about to say coasters.
And if you're listening to the show, whoever you were, sorry for keeping you waiting. I had the whole booth. Like
I've seen you. You know that.
My elbows out. This is mine till I'm done my tickets, and they were trying to squeeze through. I don't care.
Tickets.
Many coasters. Many coasters. So the drama started before the game, even before the first snap, and we flicked on the TV and we saw Hank doing some weird ass stretching, and we were a little concerned, and it turns out that he actually screwed his knee up pre-game.
So I have to, because I couldn't see any of that, right? And I wasn't on Twitter at the time. I was like, settling into my seat, getting my beer, whatever. Tell me what it was like. Tell me what the emotions were like when you saw this.
When Harris came out for the coin toss, I was like, oh my word. First of all, I'm starting to sweat something. I just put money on number one. First Mike the gambler worries, and then Mike the fan goes, oh yeah, this may be a problem. But no, at first I thought, is this a head fake? Right? Because there is something in Henry's attitude that would say right away, I think I said it, this might be a head fake. This might be like a, hey guys, let's put it upstairs in Calgary's head that I might not come out. And that was my first thought. And then you saw him come out with this giant
brace.
Robo Henry. And you're like, yeah, they wouldn't be doing that just for fun, would they? So I took that theory.
Just to mess with Bo.
Yeah, so I took that theory out of the box.
Mike, we didn't know the severity until after the game.
That's right.
We thought it was just, some weird little tweak or whatever. But apparently, he's got some pretty serious damage, and
I heard
he's
surgery.
Gonna have to have surgery.
So ACL, MCL.
They didn't specify, but I'm assuming it's pretty bad. But during the game, there were multiple times where you said Hank's the only guy in the league that can make that pass, and he was basically throwing from like a non-throwing position.
He threw a couple of balls on the run that were exceptional passes, and he threw not even on a back foot. Like he was in stride and almost just releasing with full upper body. So I know I pointed that out during the game, and that was when I said to myself, I go, this guy is leaving like nothing to lose, and he literally threw the ball with everything he had from upper body a few times. And I'm going to rewatch that game finally, and probably on this weekend when it gets up on YouTube or whatever. But I'll be looking for those moments again, and that'll really solidify what kind of all-star this guy is. And at the end of the day, he's a champion who played through adversity. And through probably mental adversity as well, being dragged down through the mud all year.
Yeah, and at the Redblacks party on the Saturday afternoon, TSN 1200, Lee Versage and AJ Jackie Beck were broadcasting live, and they pulled me on, and they gave us a good plug, by the way, boys. They gave this podcast really good plugs, which was really, thank you guys for that. But that was exactly a point that I raised about adversity when we were chatting, and I said, I know everybody thinks we're the underdogs and there's no way we can pull this off, but here's the biggest difference in my mind about Calgary and Ottawa. They didn't face any on-field adversity. We faced a ton of it, from getting off to that incredible start, 5-0 start. Even though we lost Burrs, we had Harris. Then we lost Harris. Then we were mixing up quarterbacks. There was so much adversity to overcome, and that's where it showed. That's where it showed in Henry's play and the gutsy play of everybody on that field.
So I'm going to bring it up now because we're going to get to it. But it's that adversity that we're talking about with Henry, and it's cool. It's a cool head prevails there almost, because by the time we got to halftime, and we witnessed what Bo Levi and Mitchell did. I mean, he started that 150 seat bus and just plowed over top of his wide receivers. You want to bring that up, Colin? Because we were flabbergasted.
So he came out. I mean, obviously everyone saw how he played in the first half. It was awful. He looked like him and his receivers. I don't know. Did they practice the week of the Grey Cup? They looked like.
Well, why did they have to? They just had to walk onto the field and win,
no,
right?
But there was like a serious communication issue, and he had zero patience for them right away. And that tells me, was something leading up to that? But his body language was not the body language of a winner. His body language was sulky and immature. And we saw at the halftime interview, I don't remember, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but he said, I'm putting balls up there that are 50-50 balls, is what he said. He said sometimes our guys just got to work a little harder to come down with them, and we couldn't believe it.
I didn't hear that quote at all.
He threw ducks like I thought Peyton Manning suited up for them. Like he honestly was. Those guys had no chance, and regardless of how you feel, and sure those guys aren't going to hear that in the second half, but it just showed what his overall demeanor was like, and he didn't have that grind in him to take some accountability for his poor first half.
I was just going to say my 26-year-old, 41-year-old.
Yeah, and I'm on that because he hit a wall. You go back to the Western Conference Final, and they were going into the half. How many points up?
Oh, like 30?
And throughout the season, I had those stats, a couple weeks ago. This was a team that had zero problem going into the half, leading all the time, and then just taking their foot off the gas and making sure they just drive her home. This is a guy that looked out there on the field and looked at the scoreboard and went, "What's going on? This isn't normal for me." And he has a lot of growing up to do, but my word, he still has a good arm when he wants to sling. He's got a long career in this league as long as he keeps his head about him.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Oh, for sure. And like he's going to learn from this, and he's going to grow, and he is going to mature from this, and he's going to be one of the greats. He already is one of the greats. But I didn't hear that quote at all, right? Because you're in the stands, you're not...
And post-game, it was the same verbiage.
Well,
basically.
I know. I heard his post-game interview afterwards where he was talking about
the play.
The play, right? The why didn't I get the ball? I should have got the ball.
Should have been me or mess.
Yeah.
So that was our game.
And maybe that's a bit of pain and hurt and whatever emotion talking, but who am I to criticize when Burris went off on a shove it rant, right? Like that was hurt and pain and emotion talking. So I'm not about to criticize him for that, but I hadn't heard the...
Do you guys see Jermichael Dean tweeted out a crying Jordan on top of Bo Levi's face?
Yeah.
And then took it down afterwards because people were too upset about it. I love that kind of stuff.
I know. I almost broke out the crying Jordan meme, but I was like, I decided to stay off social media for a while.
I want the crying John Carter meme to come into play next year. That'll be.
I tried to work that one strong. If you remember.
So Jeannine, you were there, obviously, so you can't really speak to this, but the TV coverage and camera work was the best that I've seen in a long time.
I'm glad to hear that.
In-game production was great. Mark
even stepped up and said what he thought about the TV coverage as well. So.
Yeah, and another friend of ours that doesn't watch really any football plays a lot of Madden.
Who called it? It was Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter. Were they the ones calling
Glenn Suter was brutal, by the way. But
yeah.
You were raging mad at him. Like every time he said something, it was always he was playing devil's advocate, but in times where there's no need to, like
I guess you got to make it interesting, right?
Hey, he didn't need to say anything to make that game interesting. Let's be honest. So Jeannine, you were stoked about the work of Ike Charlton.
Ike Charlton is a former Blue Bomber, and he played in the 2011 Grey Cup game that they lost to the BC. The Bombers lost to the BC Lions, and I met him for the first time last year at the ladies' night that the Redblacks did, and him and I had a really good chat about how painful it was to lose that game in 2011. And so I remembered that, and I was just, I was super impressed by the backs, and we're going to talk about the shoelace tackle, I'm sure. But remember, we had said before, a key to the game, and I kind of been repeating it on all of my, CBC or TSN on my little media tour, because, I'm such a darling.
Apparently
such a
you're
media
our official
darling.
representative. I get check out Jeannine from BleedRedblacks. I'm like, I guess Mike and I got bumped down on the old speed dial. Can I blame him? I mean, you know what you're talking about, so.
Well, so everybody knows what they're talking about. I'm just a media whore. That's really the difference. But anyway,
hey now,
own
it. You're 40, girl. You own that. You own it, girl.
Short skirts and microphones. Boom. Hook me up. So one of the messages that I'd been repeating was, if the defensive backs can be disciplined and focused and play for each other and with each other, they're gonna win. They can match up against Calgary. So first of all, Ike, I've loved you since you were a Bomber. I know you didn't get that ring as a player, but God damn it, I'm so happy for you that you got it as a coach. And two, you kept those boys disciplined and focused, and you corrected what was going wrong earlier in the season. And my hat is so off to you. You've got a great coaching career in this league.
Well, I mean, the one thing that was tough to watch is, getting a lead is awesome, but that damn prevent defense in the second half is tough, eh? It's like, where's that balance between don't let them get behind you, but we got to kill the clock at the same time. But it's tough to watch.
And
man.
what did we talk about? We talked about the week before in this basement, we talked about a team that has to not be as conservative as they had been in the past and look for ways to continue to mix it up. And there was nowhere in my mind that I think that we would be so far ahead that we'd even be thinking about taking our foot off the gas. But holy moly, that was tough to watch.
And that's when it started to kind of go sideways, was the minute they stopped making aggressive play calls. And I was swearing a lot in those stands, but I kept screaming, "What is the matter? Why aren't you why did you change your game plan? It was working so well." So it was a super frustrating thing to watch. Once they got back to it, though, like,
Mike, you emphasized this before the game even started, that time of possession was going to be a huge indicator as to the result of this game.
Yep.
And we crushed time of possession first half. Second half, it came back a little more
Yeah,
even.
it swung the
But
other way.
We had them 2-1 in the first half, I remember.
Yep.
And what that did was gave our D a break. And we looked fresh right till the end of the game on defense, despite our kind of apprehensive cushy.
That TOP finished at 33 minutes 55 seconds for Ottawa, leaving 26:05 for Calgary to have fun. The other thing that came out of this for me stat wise was just there was a lack of penalty flags overall, which felt pretty good. The game had a great flow to it, which I think is important. The product on the field's got to start looking a little bit neater. And it did for the championship game. It looked a lot more, and we were all for the ref. I just lost
Andre Peru. He did an awesome job, and he's a hilarious.
I like Andre Peru. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I love
great.
him. Mm-hmm.
He was my Hottie Bowl nomination.
Oh
on
yeah, that's
Piffle's
right.
podcast.
That's right.
Trust me, he quit smoking, runs 5K a day. And his delivery is amazing.
Yeah.
Like every time he said command center, like we should have had to take a drink, right? Like
it
was amazing.
This play is being reviewed by the command center.
This great.
I'm going under that hood to take a look at the
He doesn't
game.
have a pre-scripted thing.
No.
He is not a robot, and he always gives a little more detail. I tried for clarification, and good on him. I don't know. I think he's great.
I do
he's,
too.
He's hardcore, and I
do
love
too.
seeing him there.
Got it.
Okay, so end of the game.
Yeah.
Calgary gets the ball 2-yard line, second down.
That's when I started praying to everything.
And they decide to bring in
Buckley,
Mr. Buckley, who had a lot of success this year rushing the ball in those kind of situations. So we all know what happened. Mr. Shoelaces, all about the shoelaces. The play broke down. The quarterback had to swing out to the right. He was pursued by Abdul Kane, who got just enough of him to bring him down. And every Calgary fan, player, member of the coaching staff, the media, the management is going to think about that one play. That is a defining play from both teams' perspectives. And in that moment, I don't want to say you could out overcoach, but in that moment, how do you not give the ball to a 260-pound wrecking ball to just plow through? Even if you, I just don't. The decision confuses me, and I think in what is it, this is game 95 of the CFL season, and the trick, it's time to do your low variance play, and I think the one that they did was the high variance play.
Yeah, I think Dickinson has since been quoted as saying, and I don't know how many attempts they made at this play during the season, but he said they had a 100% success rate on this play, so that's why he went to it in this situation. I think while everybody's going to talk about this play, and rightfully, Kane deserves us to talk about that play because he saved this game for us, but two things happened before it. The first was, Mike, you take it away because you were going to go there first.
I was going to say the miss point. Is that where we're going?
Well, no, I was actually going to go that's another thing that, like 100 things happened before it, but the two that were on my mind was Kane getting called on a defensive pass interference.
You were ready to kick him off the team.
That put the ball as close as it was. And then the second thing that happened was Jerome Messam was stuffed.
Yeah.
And Jerome Messam doesn't get stuffed.
Yeah.
And this defense stuffed Jerome Messam and prevented the touchdown. And that's what lined us up on the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
And that sequence of events, like I'm talking about it now and I want to throw up with nerves again, just talking about it. And I know the outcome.
You know what, Jeannine? It's your birthday. You want to throw up, you go for it.
It's your party and you can throw up if you
Where's
want
that
to.
dill pickle vodka?
That's what this thing's in front of the mic. It's actually.
But I mean, I was like the breakdown of that as well is like we missed an extra point, which changed the entire dynamic of that final drive.
And they missed it. They missed an extra point too.
Yeah.
And had Renee Paredes made that point,
That's
there
right.
wouldn't have been an overtime.
That's right. So,
So many
I know.
things. All the things that could happen happened.
That's right. That's
and
right.
you figure,
the onside kick.
95th game of the year.
Yeah.
So whatever 95 times 4. Like think of the amount of football and the amount of snaps and plays that have happened this year, in each season, and it all comes down to just a few things that affect the whole season.
And Mr. Hands on that. I mean, I started naming the Hands team down here. I had everybody in there, like for that onside kick, and it was Big Brad who
It was
kinda,
Big Brad,
who went up and then didn't come down with it. And it
Don't
once
think
again,
that didn't break my damn heart.
Probably one of the best onside kicks I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
It was a great onside
That was
kick.
amazing.
It was
the
a
old
great
crisscross,
onside kick. Yeah.
punter, kicker.
And they got right
Way
up
to
in
go.
Brad's face, and they distracted him enough that he couldn't come down with it, right?
And then I began pacing again. So
That's
it was
right.
like,
Mike's Fitbit lit up again. He's
Like,
like,
I
I'm
was-
going to crush tomorrow's steps
Yeah.
at this rate.
Poor Brad. Everybody behind me actually kept asking me, A, I have a signed Brad Sinopoli jersey that I was wearing, and B, I kept calling him every time he made a play. Oh, that's my boy. And so finally one guy behind me says, is he like your brother? I'm like, thank you for saying brother and not son.
Are you his mom?
And no, I'm not related to him. He was just my university's quarterback. So, but definitely, it was definitely a lot of fun to watch him get most outstanding Canadian in this game, and to watch him have the game he had.
So, what stats kind of stood out for you guys? Mike, we talked about time
so
of
many.
possession. That was a big
that
one.
was one on
5 for 5 in the red zone.
That's huge. Ones that stand out to me: 5 turnovers by Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Early, 2 for 2 on field goals.
Yeah.
He was clutch. He needed to be.
Bo Levi looked human. I mean, like it was awesome. Like
Sinopoli's almost 100 yards. Mike, in my mind, I went straight to you. It was you sitting in that chair last week that said, you know what we need on offense? We need Sinopoli to be involved, because when Sinopoli is involved, we play better. And Sinopoli got 94. Was it 94, 96?
And what about our boy
94
Ellingson?
yards.
Like, just he became a favorite target.
He went
Early
7
on.
7
Early
for
on.
7.
Yeah.
So.
And how much they spread it out. Like nobody got, let me check. Nobody got over 100, right? They
No.
spread it out. So Sinopoli 94, Kreiner 89, Ellingson 85, and Jackson 96. Like spread it out,
And
keep Calgary
Look at the
guessing.
targets: 10, 4, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. How's that for a balanced offense?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's unbelievable.
And I was saying he was checking more than one read. I mean,
Oh.
he did have time. So good on Henry. He was really patient in the pocket, even with a bum leg. He seemed to have a real good head about him. And I felt like guys were getting in those soft pockets, and it was Sinopoli and Ellingson. I thought were just in that zone, and it was like they couldn't drop anything, which felt pretty good as well. And I got to give it up to special teams as well. Jamil had a fantastic game, got some yards, kept the ball.
That's what we like about him. When he's there,
He's dropped
receiving
one
it,
ball in
we
3
know-
years, right?
We know that we're going to retain possession. So
He had
that's-
some great returns. Like, yeah, there wasn't the money shot, the return for a touchdown, but he had some great returns in this game, and great job to Jamil.
Yeah, he had 4, and he averaged almost 17 yards per return.
That's a great
and,
stat.
and like I said, hung on to that ball. So that's in a championship game. He showed no nerves. So good on him, a young guy. That's amazing.
Here's another stat that stood out, and I'm gonna I didn't really realize this until I saw Derek Taylor, is that his name, on TSN, tweeted out. Lavoie picked a hell of a time to get his first touchdown of the season, so that's a good stat.
×2. And add that to one he got last year in the Grey Cup.
Yeah, he got one in
so.
the last year.
Good on Canadians in general.
Oh, there were 5, I think.
Yeah,
5 of the
and
touchdowns
we
in this
hadn't-
game
there
were
hadn't been a
Canadians.
Canadian that got a touchdown since prior to Lavoie.
Yeah.
It was like the 60s or something.
Yeah, so that's another good stat, eh? That makes you feel good
And
about
there were
this
so many
league.
records, like I think Hank probably tied a few. What did he have? 461
61.
yards passing. Like That's like 2 good drives for you on the golf course there, Mike.
Jeez. If I'm lucky, yeah.
That's like 18 drives for me on the golf course.
But it just goes to show you the CFLs continue to maintain that awesome pass first mentality, and I believe that's what's going to hook in new fans is big offense. So good on a championship game while there were eyes on the game, and we'll talk about that. But while eyes were on the game, it was a clean game and it was highly offensive. Highly offensive. It was a highly
offensive game.
Highly contested game with lots of offense.
I was offended by all that offense in this game.
I was offended. I was so drunk. Actually, I was offended by myself. But
You're like, these Caesars are great. Like when we were complimenting the dill pickle vodka, that's when I knew we were sideways.
That's some pretty good brew up there, isn't it? And just really reminiscing about the old dill pickle shots. That's when you know it's time to shut her down.
Thank God that never happened.
Yeah, we didn't shut her
that
down.
Would have been too many sick days already this year. Can't take one tomorrow. So apparently, TV ratings were down, but streaming was up considerably. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think they said
there's some conflicting numbers. We'll start there too. Yeah.
Which is common.
Yeah.
I think depending on who your source is, those TV numbers. I think TSN sometimes it's like
bluff.
Anyone that even knew the Grey Cap was playing on TSN,
they'll mark him down, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. They flick through it in between commercials or something, but. Between Sens games periods, right?
Big time.
Great time for a Sens game, by the way. But streaming is up, and I mean
that's
a trend we need to see happen.
That's a great thing.
Apparently, the show. Well, it was a show. The broadcast was available in over 150 countries or something. And did Santino mention how his experiences were? Was he able to see everything okay?
No,
he's always so in tune with it. Regardless, he would have found some illegal stream on Reddit. Anyways, he's a resourceful young man. It's probably him putting those up anyway. So yeah, I just was curious. Is it June yet? Yeah. No?
It's a June yet. Yeah, that's going to start. Those hashtags are going to start tomorrow. Before we take off and ride off into the off season, I just want to put in one little plug, if you guys will allow me to. I started my Grey Cup weekend by getting a tattoo, actually, at a great studio called Barnstormer on Bank Street. It was actually on the parade route, and when I walked in, Nate, one of the 3 tattoo artists that work there, is a huge Redblacks fan, and he recognized my voice from this podcast, and he lost his mind.
Well, you've been on every radio
because
station
he loved. No, it was this podcast. It's like, oh my God, I was listening to you this morning. He loves this podcast. He loves this team. And he's like super, super stoked. He was in Toronto. I bumped into him at the game. He actually drove out Sunday morning with his wife to go take in the game. And players who win a championship often like to get tattooed. So I'm just putting it out there. If any players are listening to this show, there is a tattoo artist at Barnstormer who would love to be the one to give you your Grey Cup champ tattoo. And
Amazing.
His name is Nate, and the studio is Barnstormer. They are seriously your biggest fans. And, just Nate, I just want to put that out there because I loved your enthusiasm, and I just think it's great that you want to kind of give back a little to your football team in this way. So there you go.
Keenan LaFrance is gonna go get one of those bisons too, though. After he saw yours,
that's a pretty damn nice
awesome,
tattoo.
Gorge,
awesome
absolutely
gorge.
No,
I saw another guy. I saw another guy, Glenn, who was also at the Grey Cup. He's also a big fan of the team. But that studio is a great studio if anyone's looking for.
Whereabouts is it? Do we have an address?
It's I forget the exact address, but it's Bank, just after the clock tower. After the clock tower on Bank, so not far
near
from
crosstown traffic, possibly.
Tell him Jeannine sent.
Tell him Jeannine sent you. That's right.
I want to thank you guys. This will be the last time I'm probably a regular host or showing up maybe for a sit-in. I don't know how the show is going to be put together next year, but I won't get emotional. But thank you guys. I want to thank Mark for the hospitality and a growing friendship with you, brother. You're an amazing dude. Jeannine, God bless you. Thank you for answering us. And I'll never forget just how awesome it was having not only, and I'm going to be that guy, but having a female in the studio actually meant a lot to me personally, because it's 2017 almost, right? Let's get it together, guys. And there's my guy. I mean, we put down a couple of Guinness.
So that was when you get hammered, man.
And I came to you with something completely something completely different.
That's where my ADD was wonderful.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, but have you ever heard a goat scream before?
Yeah. and then fucking 6 hours later, and a notepad that looked like we just played crossword on it all day night or X's and O's or whatever. But I just got to thank everybody. It was a big deal for me to put this together with you guys, and then have it somehow it's going to evolve. And I'm just a busy guy. I've got a lot of projects on the go, and I missed a lot this year. But good on you guys for keeping her going. And yeah, a little emotional about it, but love all you guys individually. So
I'm excited to see what happens next year.
Yep.
Who knows? You might break her down and do something totally different, or may not do one at all and just hand off the reins. Who really knows at this point?
Yeah, Santino is, he's and Johnny Z are up to bat. If it's them, it's them.
And like obviously, Mike, you and I have put in a pile of work over the years, but without Jeannine and Mark and Johnny and Santino, like we'd be fucked. Let's be honest. So. It says family friendly. No, is there a lot? Like I could say whatever, right? No.
Yeah. We get kicked off the internet now. It's not the end of the world.
No, but for real, and it's like those people who do this know what it takes.
Yep.
And it's a lot of work, man. And obviously, as the years went on, we've got a little better at it, and been able to like fine tune it a bit better. I know our first episode, the whole thing was written out, longhand.
Yeah.
It'll never see the light of day.
No.
Worst creative thing Mike and I have ever done.
Yeah. But I mean, it evolved, and that's what the team evolved as well. And that's I had a vision of doing something stupid like this, and this is how it turned out. I'm so happy.
I didn't expect anything when we started, aside from something you and I to do together to have some fun.
Thank Michael for that awesome logo as well, which should stand the test of time. Hopefully, as long as hashtags are still around. Hashtags are cool, right?
Not only just put them on your pants.
Yeah, put them on. Apparently, you can just put it right on your uniform now if you're a CFL
Why
fan.
not?
Apparently.
Why
so
not?
thank you again, and I'll see you guys around. But if there's something, I'll come in and sit in and have a few laughs with you for sure.
Cool, man. Well, it's been great to see, us grow. As podcast, as friends. Mostly as friends. The team, the fan base, and CFL podcasting in general has really changed over the last few years.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you. The grandfather.
The podfather.
The podfather.
I would like to think that maybe we injected a little bit of enthusiasm and went a little different route, and hopefully inspired some people to have a little more fun. And obviously we know Brian's getting all the downloads.
Yeah.
But the shows that are popping up now are a lot of fun, and it's making this league so accessible, and it's so important. And I'm just rambling on here because I know this is the last show.
And you're trying to drag it out.
Anyways, so I got a story for you guys. No, I don't actually. Thanks for everything. Mark, thanks a lot, man. You're the boss.
Thanks, brother.
You're a great host. I think Mike's going to miss the spreads you put out before the podcast more than anything. I mean, that handmade coffee and veggie platter. I mean, you're not gonna get that at the Georgetown, bud. That's for sure. All right, thanks again, everyone. Winning. Is it June yet?
See you at the stadium.
Thank you for stopping by on this week's episode of the BleedRedblacks podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BleedRedblacks, or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/BleedRedblacks podcast.